Are you
Okay,
reading about it or something?
I just read about it, but I'm going to do a short video, so don't call me fat or stupid for a little bit. I had RSV, and I don't feel like I have just a tiny tail end of a cold, and
Holy
she's
crap, it says highly contagious.
highly contagious RSV, yeah, and it's particularly dangerous for people over 60.
Well, I'm not over 60.
You're not over
I
60?
look over 60. I don't,
She's 30 for the 39th time.
I'm not.
So she's doing 30 really well. 39 years of experience for 30. And so RSV, that's what it was. She took a nose swab yesterday. And actually, it's a brain swab because they shove it in so far.
I mean to tell you, I told her it made me dizzy. It did.
Yeah.
She stuck it so far up there.
Yeah.
Messed up my equilibrium.
Her equilibrium was all messed up. All right, so I'm going to the shop. Well, I got a sharp finger started yesterday for that redwood lace burl, which is right here. This took me 3 tries to get the warp out. Finally got it out. My goodness, that was, if it didn't get out the 3rd time, I had to keep adjusting the shims and putting it back through the tempering cycle. And at first it was a warp like this, the entire blade. So I shimmed it up, and then it was a warp in the handle. So I had to shim the handle up, and then this warped again. So I put it through one last time, and I said, okay, if I don't get the warp out this time, I'm just gonna, at some point you gotta stop wasting your time. Well, anyway, got the warp out. So I am going to get the handles on this today. And I've got a whole bunch of new buffing pads with varying degrees, starting with, incredibly hard and coarse, all the way down to fine. So I think I'm going to be able to take my polishing to the next level. We'll see. I mean, I'm happy with where it's at right now, but if you hold it just right in the sun, you can see polishing marks, And I haven't been able to stop that. Let me turn this heater off because it's not warm if you're sitting still, but if you're sanding and doing stuff, it feels warm. My wife and I, what we have had, or what she has now, is RSV. It's not COVID, it's RSV, which is what I had, and it takes a lot longer to get over than a cold, and I'm on the tail end of it. I think another 2 or 3 days, and I'll be back to my old self. And my wife, this is what, her 4th day, and she's still, got the chest stuff and, not feeling good. So she's not quite at the middle of it, and I'm almost over mine. Seems like took me a month to get through that. Isn't that something? Alrighty, so now, I don't know if I want to, this morning somebody local here, their house got broke into, and he found out who it was, and let's just say no police were called. And I got to thinking, to me, that's my way of handling it. I don't want to call police or get police involved. Once you invite police into your life, that's, you're inviting trouble. So these kind of things, if you can handle them yourself, it's probably best to. And then I just got to thinking back. I know you're probably sick of hearing about it, but when I think about how silly and I don't want to say low intellect, but low common sense some cops have now, because they have to scrape the bottom of the barrel for cops. Because nobody wants to be a cop now, And I think it's 2 reasons. Because they can no longer get away with the bullshit. Everybody's got phones, everybody's got dash cams, everybody's got, there's cameras everywhere. So cops have to be honest. They can't use nefarious means to draw you into the system anymore. Or they can try, but usually it comes out pretty quick that they've done that. So it's not an attractive job for bullies anymore because they can't get away with being bullies. And in my opinion, those are the people mostly that were attracted to becoming cops, were people that wanted to continue being bullies, uh, and pushing people around and intimidating people and threatening with their lives and threatening their freedom, or taking their property away. So I just got to thinking about them cops that showed up here over a Facebook meme. And I think to myself, that's the kind of intellect you have to deal with cops nowadays. Maybe not, deficient in intellect, but certainly deficient in common sense. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road again. I say I moved on, but obviously I haven't. It is an indicator, clearly an indicator of even a law-abiding citizen. I don't break the laws. I've mentioned this before. I don't speed, I don't hunt, I don't fish, I don't do anything where the police may get involved in my life. And still, I had 2 idiot moron bullies with badges show up at my gate over a Facebook meme. That is what I'm talking about. Now, even if you do everything humanly possible to avoid breaking the law, to avoid attracting the attention of bullies with badges, you still are going to have them in your life. And I don't know. I just think it's a sign of the times that, I'm a senior citizen. I'm an old guy. And even an old guy like me can't keep cops out of my life. I spent 40 years of my life having to deal with cops. And before that, when I was in the Army, I was attached to a military police unit, 66th MP Company, 95th MP Battalion, Karlsruhe, Deutschland. Und ich liebe Deutschland, aber nicht die amerikanische Militär. Okay, moving on. Let's get to Sandon. Well, I'm probably going to get kicked off another Facebook page. Sometimes the silly crap people post, it just blows my mind. Somebody posted a picture of this forest landscape, and they said, I'd rather be in the forest than around people and, I forget what it was. I'd rather be in this forest than around people and noise or something like that. And my comment was, so you log into Facebook to tell everybody that you don't like people. Okay, good talk. I just think it's hilarious. And maybe somebody will find that funny too, but another Facebook page I'm going to get banned from. And all I was doing was just pointing out the obvious. If you don't like people, why are you here? I did the Joe Biden thing. I just did the Joe Biden thing. Funny. All right. I'm fixing to, got this. Send it up to 800. We will be buffinating it very soon. I'm cleaning this up with 600. And then going over it with 800. And before I go buff it, I'm going to get the handle set up, cut, pinholes drilled. That's not a booger, that's hair. Let me put you up here a little bit so you're not looking up my nose. And yeah, I got schmutz on my face, from moving my glasses and all that. Jeez. And I just took a shower too. Huh. Alrighty. I definitely am still sick. I'm getting winded, out of air. Yesterday I took the trash from our driveway up the driveway out to where we have it picked up, and my God, I had to stop like 3 times to catch my air. So this RSV is definitely, and it says it affects it's respiratory something or other, but it definitely affects your lungs, and I'm having a hard time getting my air. So, all right, back to work, everybody. All right, you want to hear another funny one? I'm just sitting here thinking how Facebook is just filled with, I don't know, what do you call them, posers? People who try to project a certain image they want people to view them as. And the one I can think of right now is the people who, the minute war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, those kind of people put the Ukrainian flag as their icon. Boy, am I dirty. Wow. And I support Ukraine. Well, if you really support Ukraine, you'd get on a plane and go over there, and or do you just support Ukraine sending their young men to die? Yeah, I don't have any time for that, or patience with people. I support Ukraine, so I'm going to show my support by putting a Ukrainian flag in my Facebook icon. Boy. Yeah, put your money where your mouth is. If you really support Ukraine, you'd be over there on the front lines. And otherwise, it's just, they have a name for it. It's trying to project values that you don't really hold, but you want people to perceive you as holding them. God, there's a name for it, and I forget. And then there's that, there is a meme that perfectly captures that. It's, I support the latest thing. You know, last week it was Ukraine, and next week it'll be some other value they want to pretend they have. And God, what is the name of that? I mean, and it describes it perfectly. Yeah, it's right on the tip of my tongue. And they use it in politics a lot to portray politicians who, you know, suddenly support a cause and are very vocal about it. Jeez, I can't believe I can't remember it. It's such a common thing. Oh, well. We're inches away from buffing, but I'm going to show you all my new buffing wheels and the progression. This had just a tiny bit of carbon burn off, but I'm able to sand it out with a 800, so it wasn't deep enough to, you know, show up when I buff it. Yeah, this knife has really struggled, really fought me. All right, I'm going to have to rub on this a little longer, so we'll see you in the buffing room. It came to me, virtue signalers. That's the word I was trying to think of, and it describes them perfectly. The Ukrainian flag bros and virtue signalers. And they don't really have a dog in the hunt, but they want you to think somehow they're concerned about Ukraine. When if they're really concerned about Ukraine, they'd have their ass over there in a ditch, losing their life like all the other kids over there on both sides. I'm not in favor of either side. I am against ridiculous, senseless wars that could have been settled without the loss of young lives. And now they're using, here's what's, Ukraine is now drafting men in their 60s. Can you imagine me tromping through a field with I'm good for about 100 feet, and that's it, you know. Well, that's one good thing. I couldn't run, so, you know, I'd have to stand and fight. Just blows my mind. And, you know, Ukraine and Zelensky were prepared to negotiate with Russia until who stepped in? Yeah. We are the cause of this war. We, meaning America and NATO, which, yeah, we're the cause of all these lives being lost. There's no way around it. And Russia really did not want to go to war. They were prepared to, and they let them know. We're also prepared to negotiate. And they were fixing to negotiate when NATO said, which we all know is America, NATO said, no, you're not negotiating, you're going to fight, and we're going to give you everything you need, except for the young lives. Alrighty, I'm gone. Virtue signaler, that's what I was trying to think of. Okay, I've got all new buffers, new wheels. This is the hardest of hard, and it is, I can feel it. This is what they call a hard buff. Coarse, medium, fine, And my last one will be White Rouge. I'm probably going to eliminate this buffer because it's very, very weak. So I really have no plans for that now. I may move this here and this there. And I have them in order of torque and power. So that is the strongest one. I can really bear into it. And that's a Bauer from Harbor Freight. It's pretty good. It's really well balanced. It's got a lot more torque than these cheap Amazon ones I got here. And this is the third most powerful one. And I don't really need a lot of power for the last grit, which is white. And then, you know, I do have some pink scratchless that I used to use this for. I may use that for it. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna start buffing. We'll see. Okay, I have discovered the secret. And now it's still got a lot of schmutz on it that I will clean off, but that's the shiniest I've ever got one right there. And the white on that one is the final. And here's what I have discovered using the black. And I'll show you what I use here. Black Magic. I get it from knifemaking.com. Jantz. And I use that on the coarsest, the medium, well, that's the medium, and then the fine. And then I moved over here, and these are both soft buffs, and I use the white polish. I'll show you that. White Rouge. And I don't even use the green anymore. All right, let's go get this cleaned up and get the handles on it. Okay, I learned a couple of things. One is that I do not have to buff these before heat treating because the wheel and the compound is aggressive enough. If I did miss a scratch or two, that I can buff them out. So that's 2 hours easy off the time it takes to make one of these knives. So that's really important. And you know, I have come down on my prices just a little bit to reflect the decrease in the amount of time it takes to make a knife. These are polished or satin, 165. And I'll tell you the truth, my biggest knife, the Texas Rumble, that's the knife that takes, you know, days of sanding and polishing because it's, you know, my biggest knife. It's the one on the left. And that one polished with the high grade wood on it, I get $330 for it, not $334. So that price isn't going to change. It also takes a lot of leather. And, you know, since I'm now spending far more time on my leather, I can still justify asking that price for it. So anyway, $165 for Deplorable, polished or satin. And the sharp finger, it really depends. Now, I spent $55 on this wood here. I know not every piece of wood is $55. Some of it's 30 or 40. This Turkish walnut was free. So, you know, it balances out. Some of the wood I get for $30, $40, and some of it I spend $50, $60 on. This was $55. It was $50 and $5 shipping. And then I've got some wood in here that's $60 and $70. So, you know, if I sell enough knives, I may have a little more invested in one knife than the other, but I think it eventually balances out when I ask 165 for a knife versus 175 or 185. Anyway, so here we go. I'm fixing to assemble this, epoxy it, and clampinate it. So I forgot I was going to say. I'm going to drink my Coke and think about it. Okay. We will have a handle tomorrow. Now, I'm going to finish my Coke, and then I'm going to go heat treat and temper that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put it in my straightening jig and temper it in a straightening jig just because I don't want it to warp. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so this is it. I won't bother to show you that, but tomorrow I'll make a handle. And tomorrow I will buff that out and get the handle on it before I go home. So I'm making some progress here. Alrighty, and I already have a sheath made for this, by the way. Have a good Saturday, y'all. Nice little knife.